Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is WireDogSec, back with another video for you guys. Today's video, we are on TryHackMe. This is SOC Level 1 Learning Path, Web Security Monitoring Module. This is the Web Security Essentials Room. Learn how the web works, common website security risks, and protections for a safer internet. Task number 1, Introduction. The internet is behind many aspects of modern life, from banking and shopping to social media and beyond. As a result, websites and web applications are among attackers' most targeted assets. Whether you're defending a company's website or investigating an incident, understanding how the web works and how to secure it is crucial. Learning objectives. Understand the shift from desktop applications to web applications. Learn why web applications are common targets for attackers. Explore web infrastructure and the tools we use to protect the web. Practice applying security measures to harden a new web application. Prerequisites. Web Application Basics provides an excellent overview of the essentials of web applications. Complete HTTP in detail to brush up on web requests, response codes, and all things HTTP. I understand the learning objectives and I'm ready to learn about web security. Awesome. If you want to help support the channel, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know every time I upload to the channel. Without further delay, let's go ahead and dive into it. Task 2, Why Web? The shift from desktop to web-based applications has been ongoing for decades. In the 1990s, desktop applications were the norm because of speed and connectivity limitations. As web technology advanced, the 2000s gave way to much more widely used dynamic web applications for email, social media, and banking. In the 2010s, there was a massive rise in cloud computing and software as a service or SaaS, and today nearly everything can be done in a browser. So here's an example of that. See how it traversed from just being on the computer to SaaS-based these days? From a security perspective, the shift to web apps brings some amazing advantages, including increased accessibility, faster updates, better compatibility, and reduced resource usage on the user's end. Think of it, you can browse online marketplaces and social networks, play games, edit images and video, and even run virtual machines all through your browser. However, these benefits come with trade-offs in terms of security. The more powerful and widespread the web becomes, the more opportunities it introduces for attackers. Web applications are among the most common entry points for attackers because they are always available and exposed. They often connect to back-end systems like databases and other infrastructure, offering attackers high-impact opportunities. A vulnerable web application is often the first stage in a larger attack sequence. Let's take a look at the risk faced by both web app owners and their users. Let's take a look at this table here. We have as a web app owner and then as a web app user. Your web application is always online and must be secured 24/7. Your data is stored in a web application, potentially insecurely. Anyone around the world can access your app at any time. Once your browser is breached, all of your accounts are at risk. It is challenging to stay up to date with so many emerging threats. A breach can result in identity theft or financial loss. You have the responsibility of securing your users' data. Your privacy can be permanently compromised. Real-world examples. In 2017, Equifax's sensitive customer data of nearly 150 million Americans was compromised due to an Apache vulnerability. By abusing this vulnerability, the attackers were able to access internal databases storing valuable customer data. Capital One faced a similar scale breach in 2019 in which a misconfigured web application firewall, a WAF, exposed over 100 million customers' sensitive personal and financial information. This misconfiguration allowed internal access to the company's cloud infrastructure and databases. All right, so let's take a look at these questions. Have applications shifted from desktop to web over the past couple decades? Yes or no? Well, yeah. Who is ultimately responsible for ensuring the security of users' data within a web application? Well, that's going to be the web app owner. All right. Task number 3, web infrastructure. When you visit a website, your browser sends a request to a web server. The server processes the request, verifies access, and returns a response to the user. This response can be a web page, an image, or data like search results or your account information. This request response cycle is the foundation of how the web functions. Attackers can abuse this web response cycle by overwhelming servers with requests, bypassing access controls, or even tricking the server into executing harmful commands, components of a web service. For example, any web service like TryHackMe.com requires three main components to function: application, the code, images, styles, and then icons that dictate how the website looks or functions. Web server. This component hosts the application. It listens for requests and returns a response to the user. Host machine. The underlying operating system, Linux or Windows, that runs the web server and the application. So let's take a look at this infographic real quick. Your web browser, you open a web page, there's the internet, Apache web server is what's running on the back end, Linux virtual machine, host machine, web app process, and then looking at this endpoint here is login request, okay? And then a web app written in PHP. And the next task, we will investigate the security measures available to protect these three components of web servers. When you visit a website, your web browser sends a request to a web server. As discussed above, web servers listen for incoming requests and return an appropriate response. Web servers are positioned in front of websites and applications, making them a crucial aspect of the internet's foundation. Because they are publicly exposed and handle all incoming web requests, web servers are a common target for attackers. Absolutely true. Here are some of the most common web servers that you will encounter. Apache, the most popular web server to host simple websites and blogs, most commonly WordPress, which is highly targeted. They have, seems like something every other week there's something targeting WordPress. Nginx, an industry standard for high performance web apps used by companies like Netflix, Airbnb, and GitHub. Internet Information Services, IIS, a Microsoft developed web server commonly used in enterprise environments. Okay, and here's our logos there. All right, so question time. What does your web browser send to a server to receive a web page? Well, it's going to send a request to that. What web server is most commonly used to host web or WordPress websites? Well, that is going to be Apache. What do we call the OS and environment that runs the web application and web server and application? And that is going to be the host machine is what we're looking for here. Host machine. There we go. All right, task number 4, protecting the web. Best practices. Various security measures are available when securing websites and web applications. Some solutions provide visibility, while others can actively stop or limit an attack, commonly known as mitigation. Referencing task 3, where we discuss the 3 essential components of any web service: the application, the web server, and the host machine. Let's now examine the protections available for each of these components. Okay, so let's take a look here. Protecting the application, secure coding, avoid insecure functions, ensure proper handling of errors and remove sensitive information. Input validation and sanitization. Validate and sanitize user input to prevent injection attacks. Access control. Restrict access based on user roles. Next one is protecting the web server. Logging. Keep a detailed record of all web requests with access logs. Web application firewall or WAF. Filter and block harmful traffic based on defined rules. And then we have content delivery network, or CDN for short. Reduce the direct exposure to your web server and use integrated WAFs. Next one is protecting the host machine. Least privilege. Use low privilege users for services. System hardening. Disable unnecessary services and close unused ports. Antivirus. Add endpoint level protection that blocks known malware. And the last one here, security tips for all 3 components. Strong authentication. Don't just let anyone access your code, admin panels, or host machine. Patch management. Ensure your app dependencies, web server, and host machine are up to date. Basically, apply the cybersecurity best practices. Logging. Web servers can create logs for every request they receive. We call these access logs, and they are incredibly valuable for a security perspective because they track information about every interaction with the server, including the client's IP address, timestamp, requested page or data, response status from the server, and user agent. These fields can play an important role in investigations, helping analysts detect potential malicious activity and trace attacker behavior. Let's take a look at a benign series of events that we might find in an access log to get a feel for the type of data we can observe. Note that GET requests are used to retrieve a resource from the server, like a specific web page. POST requests are used to submit data to the server, such as login credentials. So let's see here. Number 1, the user from the client IP 10.10.10.100 visits the website homepage at index.html. 2, next, they navigate to the login page at login.html. 3, they then enter their credentials and submit the forms signified by the post request. 4. Finally, they access their account page at myaccount.html. Although this series of events is expected and not out of the ordinary, you can see how the verbosity of these logs can help analysts and incident responders reconstruct a possible attack sequence. So this is just an infographic we just went through. So this is something you see inside of those logs here. Okay, client IP, timestamp, requested page, status code, response size, refer, and the user agent. Okay, so let's continue on to these questions. What cybersecurity concept involves stopping or limiting damage from threats? And then what security control involves ensuring all software and components are up to date? That one's going to be probably looking for patch management. Let's see. Patch management. And this other one here is going to be, let's see what they called it up here. Hey everybody, this is WireDogSec. Just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Once you hit the notification bell, be sure to set to all notifications so you know every time I post to the channel, upload a video, all that good stuff. Let's continue to grow our glorious community here. We are in the cyber trenches. We're not just reporting on it. Be sure to check out my channel as well. I have tons of videos. You can see here over 300 videos ready for you to check out and learn something from. Be sure to review my posts. I'm frequently posting new things to my channel here, including jobs and everything related to that. Also, I have tons of playlists here that you can review, make it more convenient for you. Anyway, happy defending, happy hacking, enjoy the video. And this is going to be mitigation, so you're going to mitigate the threat. All right, task number 5, defense systems. Content delivery network, CDN. CDNs store and serve cached content from servers closer to the user to reduce latency. Imagine you have a main server hosted or housed in a central location. This main server provides information to edge servers worldwide so your customers can access data more quickly and safely. Aside from speed, CDNs also help in security, in a security sense, by acting as a buffer between the user and the original server or origin server. Security benefits: IP masking hides the origin server IP address, which makes it harder for attackers to target. DDoS protection: CDNs can absorb a large amount of traffic, making denial of service attacks less effective. Enforced HTTPS: encrypted communications via TLS is enforced by default by most CDNs. Integrated WAFs: many CDNs, including Cloudflare CDN, Amazon CloudFront, and Azure Front Door, integrate web application firewalls. In essence, CDNs allow web apps to deliver data to customers more efficiently and securely. So there's an infographic of that here. But very different CDNs at different locations all over the place. And then there's the origin server located in Spain. All right. And next one is going to be talking about web application firewalls, or WAFs. WAFs are a powerful tool that can be integrated as another layer of protection for websites and web applications. They inspect incoming HTTP traffic and block or lock potentially harmful requests based on security rules. Think of the analogy of a bouncer at a bar or club. Every person web request wants to enter must be checked by the bouncer firewall. Any request that doesn't meet the standard requirement will be rejected. Let's take a closer look at the types of WAFs available to us as defenders, then dive deeper into their functionality. All right, so cloud-based reverse proxy sits in front of the web server. These WAFs are easy to deploy and have great scalability. Host-based software deployed directly on the web server and offers control for each application. Network-based, a physical or virtual appliance situated on the network perimeter, more suited for enterprise environments. Functionality, as stated above, WAFs inspect HTTP requests to detect anomalies, attacks, or known suspicious patterns. Below are some of the methods used, along with examples of requests that may be blocked. So let's take a look at this table. Got WAF feature, detection method, and example. Signature-based detection matches known attack patterns or payloads. A request with a user agent that matches a known tool, SQL map 1.8.1. Heuristic-based detection analyzes context and behavior of requests. A long query string with special characters, search $Q equals, and then you have script in that here. Anomaly and behavioral analysis flags deviations from normal traffic behavior. A single IP address makes repeated login attempts in a short period of time. And location IP reputation filtering uses location and threat intel to block IPs. A request from an IP address that is outside of your normal business area. The above table is not an exhaustive, as detection methods are constantly evolving and custom rules can be created based on these specific needs to of the web application owner. Below is a screenshot of the Cloudflare dashboard TryHackMe.thm focused on the security panel. In it, we can see all requests for the last 24 hours, including requests blocked by the integrated web application firewall. So take a look at this real quick. Prevented by WAF attacks, mitigated by Cloudflare, and then cached by CDN requests served by Cloudflare. Okay, as you can see, there's quite a bit of traffic there, looks like. Antivirus, or AV for short. These are often misunderstood as a blanket protection measure, but they are primarily made to safeguard endpoints such as desktops, laptops, and servers from known malicious files or programs. Most AVs rely on signature-based detection, which means they compare files with a database of known malware or patterns. While web attacks usually target the application layer, not the host machine, AVs still play an important role in host protection, as discussed in Task 3. They can help detect malicious file uploads such as web shells, post-exploitation tools, and other malicious software. AVs are just one layer in a broader defense in-depth strategy and should be combined with other security measures to provide stronger protection. That's absolutely true. You need to have that layered security approach or defense in-depth security approach, right? So let's take a look at these questions. Which type of web application firewall operates by running on the same operating system as the web application itself? And then which common WAF detection technique works by matching incoming requests with known malicious patterns? Okay, so that one's going to be signature based here. So let's plug that in here, and then let's look at the first one. On the same system as the application itself. And let's see here, that's going to be host based, most likely. So let's go ahead and put that in. All right. And task number 6, practice scenario. Let's take a more hands-on look at the security measures you've learned about in this room by applying them to a real-world scenario. Your site, Secure A Site, is currently being developed and will be deployed soon. Your goal is to help prepare the web application, web server, and host machine for launch by ensuring they are as secure as possible. You'll work through the 3 layers and apply the best practices that you learned about in the previous task: web application, web server, and host machine. Practice. Open the Secure Site by clicking View Site button above. Once you complete each section, claim the flags to answer the task. Okay, so it's going to look something like this. Once you fire it up, secure your web app, secure your web server, secure your host machine, receive the security certificate. Nice. So there's a question here. So you're gonna have flag for each ones here: web application, web server, and host machine. So go ahead and pause the video, try to go through this yourself, and then come back to the video, and then we will step through it together. All right, let's take a look here at task number 6, the practical application portion. Welcome to Secure Site. Help prepare your site for launch by securing each component of your web service. Answer the questions and claim the flags. Start game. All right, web app security 1 out of 3. An employee can see the admin dashboard. What security measures help stop this? System hardening, lockdown unnecessary service supports, access control, restrict users so they only see appropriate data. Well, that sounds like this. Correct. Users should only be able to view or change data that is relevant to the role. Number 2, your app leaks detailed errors when it crashes. What should developers do early in development to secure it? And secure coding, review the app for vulnerabilities and code. Absolutely. So that's correct there. Attackers can inject code into your login form. How do you block it? Integrate access logging, record web requests so you can investigate suspicious activity later, and put in sanitization. Clean and check user submitted data before using it. Well, they're trying to inject code, so you need to sanitize that. All right, so we got the first one there. Copy that and plug it in. All right, and let's go on to the next one, which is secure your web server. Web server security. Which security measure helps ensure malicious requests never reach your server? A web application firewall. Set up a protective barrier between your users and web server. Okay, so we know that a WAF is going to be doing that. Next question: how can you reduce your server's exposure while also speeding up content delivery? That's going to be the CDN that we talked about earlier. Serve cache content from edge servers to cut latency and improve security. And the last one: when configuring your web server, what should you enable so unusual traffic patterns can be investigated later? Access logging, maintaining access log to spot anomalies and support incident response, or antivirus setup endpoint protection to block known malware. So we're going to go access logging for that one. And so we have that flag here, and let's go ahead and do this last one. All right. This is going to be secure your host machine. Host machine security. Unused ports and open and outdated services are still running. How do you reduce the risk? System hardening. Ensure only what you need is running and open. Absolutely. How can you protect your endpoint from harmful or unauthorized software? That's going to be antivirus. Help out with that. And then last one, your web server runs with admin rights. What safer setup should you use? That's going to be the principle of least privilege. There you go. So we got that last one, and we're done with that part there. Awesome. So let's get rid of all this here. In this room, you explored the essentials of web security, starting with the shift from traditional desktop applications to modern web applications. You learned why web applications are targeted by attackers, often holding sensitive data and serving as entry points into larger systems. We covered how web requests and servers work. Finally, we learned about the protections used by security professionals to prevent, detect, and mitigate common threats to web applications. Complete the room and continue your cyber learning journey. So before we do that, I'm just going to go over a couple other resources out here that can be beneficial to y'all. So the first one up is going to be Port Swigger's Web Security Academy, completely free, and it goes over all kinds of web application related information, web application attacks. It's got all tons of labs that you can go through and get some more learning in that aspect. So you can learn how attackers attack these systems so you can better defend them. Okay, think like an attacker so you can put in proper countermeasures. Okay, the next one is going to be API Security, or AppSec University, I should say. And they have courses more geared towards, as you can see here, API and AI training. So, and it's completely free as well. Free API security courses. They have a ton of them out here. I think the most popular one is probably going to be this API penetration testing course here. It's good to go. A lot of this is lecture based as well, but there's some in here that have a lot of hands-on keyboard labs, especially the API penetration testing course here. All right, so I've done almost all of these. I haven't done the newer ones, but I've done quite a few, and I also have a couple of their certifications here. I have the CASA and the ACP certification as well. Okay, so if you're interested in that, there's information about that there. Next one up is this one here, Hacker Institute. He just recently moved this to a new website, so I haven't used this website myself. Like, you have to create an account to get access to this particular course here. All right, practical web application security and testing. It looks like it could be of use, so be sure to check that out here. Next one is going to be from TCM Security. I have several certifications from TCM Security, good to go. Company here, a lot of good trainings, a lot of hands-on labs with the trainings. They explain things very well. Now, this is the web application certification part of it. So I have this one, the PWPA certification. Okay, this is like the real deal stuff here. You got to write a report and submit it and all that. Okay, so this information here, I'll have all the links in the description box, of course. Here's the courses that you'll need to do to pass this exam, or they recommend taking this course to pass the exam. Practical Bug Bounty. The one above this is going to be the PWPP exam. Okay, so I have this one as well. I do not have the PWP. This one recently just came out, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna get that one or not. But anyway, so here's the PWPP one, which is like the intermediate one. Okay, so a little bit more difficult than the other one. All right, a lot of good stuff here, and the courses right here, practical web hacking and practical API hacking courses to get you going there. I care more about the trainings than the certifications themselves. Okay, but you'll get a lot of good trainings from TCM Security for sure. All right. So let's flip back over here and close out the video. Okay, so once it gets done loading, there we go. So we are done with this room here, and hopefully y'all tagged along to the end. Hopefully you learned something, took notes, all that good stuff here. And if you want to help support the channel, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know every time I upload to the channel. Have a nice day. Happy hacking, happy defending. Stay safe in the cyber trenches. I'll see you later. Hey everybody, this is WireDogSec. Just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Once you hit the notification bell, be sure to set to all notifications so you know every time I post to the channel, upload a video, all that good stuff. Let's continue to grow our glorious community here. We are in the cyber trenches. We're not just reporting on it. Be sure to check out my channel as well. I have tons of videos. You can see here over 300 videos ready for you to check out and learn something from. Be sure to review my posts. I'm frequently posting new things to my channel here, including jobs and everything related to that. Also, I have tons of playlists here that you can review, make it more convenient for you. Anyway, happy defending, happy hacking, enjoy the video. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is WireDogSec, back with another video for you guys. Today's video, we are in TryHackMe. This is the SOC Level 1 learning path. This is the web security monitoring module, and this is the detecting web attacks room. Explore web attacks and detection methods through log and network traffic analysis. Awesome. Hopefully you'll have an exciting day today, ready to learn something. And if you want to help support the channel, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know every time I upload to the channel. Without further delay, let's go ahead and dive into it. Task 1 Introduction. Web attacks are among the most common ways attackers gain entry into target systems. Public-facing websites and web applications often sit in front of databases and other infrastructure, which are appealing targets for attackers. In this room, you'll learn how to identify these threats using practical detection methods and industry-standard tools. Objectives: learn common client-side and server-side attack types, understand the benefits and limitations of log-based detection, explore network traffic based detection methods, understand how and why web application firewalls are used, practice identifying common web attacks using the methods covered. Prerequisites: web attacks encompass a wide range of techniques. In this room, you will cover a brief overview of several common attacks before learning how to detect them. To get the most out of the exercises, you should have a foundational understanding of these attacks types and some familiarity with analyzing logs and packet captures. So here's some rooms here or some information to check out. OWASP Top 10 covers the most critical web security risk. Complete intro to log analysis for an overview of logs and useful indicators. Wireshark the Basics provides a great introduction to packet capture analysis. To check my channel, so just go to my channel and search for any of these topics here and see if I have videos over that. I may have already covered it. All right, so we're done with this. I understand the learning objectives, and I'm ready to learn about detecting web attacks. Task number 2, client-side attacks. Client-side attacks rely on abusing weaknesses in user behavior or on the user's device. These attacks often exploit vulnerabilities in browsers or trick the user into performing unsafe actions to gain access to accounts and steal sensitive information. Valuable data can be stored on a user's device, so a successful client-side attack can result in data loss. With the demand for dynamic and versatile web applications rising, companies are integrating more third-party plugins, broadening the attack surface in browsers and opening more opportunities for client-side attacks. Imagine browsing your favorite e-commerce site and clicking on an image of a product you are interested in. Unknown to you, an attacker has hidden a malicious invisible window inside the page that loads another site in the background. This hidden site runs malicious code and steals your login cookies. Nothing seems out of the ordinary, but now the attacker is able to impersonate you and access your account. That's right. They're going to hijack your session. SOC limitations. The tools available to an analyst, such as server-side logs and network traffic captures, offer little to no visibility into what occurs inside a user's browser. As discussed above, client-side attacks occur on the user's system, meaning they can execute malicious code, steal information, or manipulate the environment without generating suspicious HTTP requests or network traffic that the SOC can see. As a result, detecting these attacks from a SOC perspective is often difficult or even impossible without additional browser-side security controls or endpoint monitoring. So here's an infographic here. Attacker attacked directly in browser. User gets their information stolen there. Web application firewall, SOC visibility, web server there, right? Because it's on the client side, not the server side there. So there goes your visibility. Common client-side attacks. Cross-site scripting, or XSS for short, is the most common client-side attack in which malicious scripts are run in a trusted website and executed in the user's browser. If your website has a comment box that doesn't filter input, an attacker could post a comment like "hello" and then script alerts you have been hacked. When visitors load the page, the script runs inside their browser and the pop-up appears. In a real attack, instead of a harmless pop-up, the attacker could steal cookies or session data. Cross-site request forgery, CSRF or CSRF. The browser is tricked into sending unauthorized requests on behalf of the trust user and then click jacking. Attackers overlay invisible elements on top of legitimate content, making users believe they are interacting with something safe. So let's take a look at these questions. What class of attacks relies on exploiting the user's behavior or device? So that's going to be client side. All right, and then what is the most common client-side attack? That's cross-site scripting, or XSS for short, right? So they have reflected, they have stored, and then I think there's some other ones out there. But stored's the one you want if you want to try to steal these cookies, I believe. So there you go there. It's a good way of stealing cookies. Hey everybody, this is WireDogSec. Just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Once you hit the notification bell, be sure to set to all notifications so you know every time I post to the channel, upload a video, all that good stuff. Let's continue to grow our glorious community here. We are in the cyber trenches. We're not just reporting on it. Be sure to check out my channel as well. I have tons of videos. You can see here over 300 videos ready for you to check out and learn something from. Be sure to review my posts. I'm frequently posting new things to my channel here, including jobs and everything related to that. Also, I have tons of playlists here that you can review, make it more convenient for you. Anyway, happy defending, happy hacking, enjoy the video. Task number 3, server-side attacks. Server-side attacks rely on exploiting vulnerabilities within a web server, the application's code, or the backend that supports a website or a web application. While client-side attacks manipulate users' interaction with a site, server-side attacks focus on taking advantage of the systems themselves. By exploiting flaws and vulnerabilities, server logic, misconfigurations, or input handling, attackers can gain access, steal information, and cause damage to running services. Your favorite website is most likely filled with forms that allow user input. These could be login forms that accept the username or password, or search forms to search for past orders or specific products. Imagine if the website mishandles the input from just one of these forms. The vulnerability could allow an attacker to access sensitive customer or financial information stored in the backend database. Catching server-side attacks. One advantage for defenders when dealing with server-side attacks is that they leave a trail of evidence if you know where to look. Every web request sent to an application is processed by the server and is recorded in logs or other monitoring systems. These requests also travel across the network, meaning network traffic can reveal suspicious behavior. In the upcoming task, we will identify server-side attacks in both log and network traffic. And here's an infographic of that. So attackers sending malicious requests, SOC visibility of network traffic right there, and then web application firewall also will have logs as well, and then SOC visibility of server logs, and there's the web server which stores the logs. Okay, and there's going to be various different logs out there depending on which web server is running on that back end. Okay, so make sure you're getting those server logs or web server logs going into your SIEMs. Make sure you're getting those web application logs as well, because they will tell you different errors and such in there. All right, common server-side attacks. Brute force attacks occur when an attacker repeatedly attempts different usernames or passwords in an attempt to gain unauthorized access to an account. Automated tools are often used to send these requests quickly, allowing attackers to go through large lists of credentials and common passwords. T-Mobile faced a breach in 2021 that stemmed from a brute force attack, allowing attackers to access to personally identifiable information, or PII, of over 50 million T-Mobile customers. SQL injection, or SQLi, relies on attacking the database that sits behind a website and occurs when applications build queries through string concatenation instead of using parameterized queries, allowing attackers to alter the intended SQL command and access or manipulate data. In 2023, a SQLi or SQLi vulnerability in MoveIt, a file transfer software, was exploited, affecting over 2,700 organizations, including U.S. government agencies, the BBC, and British Airways. Command injection is a common attack that occurs when a website takes user input and passes it to the system without checking it. Attackers can sneak in commands, making the server run them with the same permissions as applications. All right, so you can see there's various different attacks there in regards to server-side attacks, okay? And let's take a look at these questions. What class of attacks relies on exploiting vulnerabilities within a server? So that's going to be server-side. Okay, server-side. The next one is, okay then, let's see, let me get this out of the way real quick. All right, which server-side attack lets attackers abuse forms to dump database contents? Well, that's going to be SQL injection, or SQLi for short. There we go. And there's various different tools out there where you can automate this process as well. And Task number 4, we're going to talk about log-based detection. So let's see what they're cooking with here. Logs can be a valuable tool for detecting web attacks. Every request sent to a web server can leave evidence in its access and error logs. Defenders can spot patterns that reveal scanning, exploitation attempts, or other attacks by reviewing log entries. In this task, you will review the basics of the access log format and look at how various attacks play out in web server access logs. Then practice your skills in a real attack sequence scenario. Nice. Access log format. Below is a sample access log entry. Depending on the context, each field can indicate either benign or malicious traffic. While not all access logs follow this exact format, they generally include the following information. So let's take a look at this table. So we have log field and example indicator. Number 1, client IP address, a known malicious or outside of the expected geo range. 2, timestamp and requested page. Requests made at unusual hours or repeated in a short period of time. Number 3, status code. Repeated 404 responses indicate a page could not be found. And number 4, response size, significantly smaller or larger than normal response sizes. Number 5, refer pages that don't fit normal site navigation. And number 6, user agent, outdated browser versions or common attack tools. Example, SQL map, and then WP scan there for like WordPress websites. And here's an example here, an infographic of it with the IP right there, and you see the other additional information here, the timestamp stuff there, and then you got the status code, HTTP status code there, response size. You got the I guess that's going to be the refer here, so we're just following down this list here, and then you got the user agent down there. Attacks and logs. So let's see what they're talking about here. Next, we'll examine a example of a condensed attack sequence. The sequence of log entries will only display the attacks or the attacker's request in a real world scenario. However, benign traffic would make up the vast majority of log entries, making it essential to develop a sharp eye for spotting malicious patterns amid normal activity. It is also important to note that in the example below, the query string in the SQL injection attack is logged, so you will be able to see the full SQL injection payloads. Number 1, the attacker tests for potential directories and forms to exploit with a directory fuzz. The 200 response codes signify valid finds for the attacker. Number 2, next, the attacker exploits login.php form found with a brute force attack. Note the repeated post requests in quick succession. The last post right there, Hydra, GoBuster, very well-known tools out there. It says the last post request has a different response code 302 found, so it redirected, so it could have been successful, right? Like login or something like that, which in this case signifies a successful login attempt. The page then redirects to the user's account account. Okay, number 3, once the attacker gains access to the account, the attempt to SQL injection payloads. So these are like very common ones that you'll run or come across there, like the test for SQL injection here. On the search form, if the application builds SQL queries dynamically instead of using parameterized queries, the attacker could dump the database, right? So there we have it here. So you can see those payloads being injected there, and that Q equals there, right? So let's take a look at log limitations. While access logs are useful, they do not always capture the full contents of a request, particularly the body of the post or GET request. For example, a login attempt may appear in access logs as this here. The above sample log shows the request method, the requested page, and the status code, but not the actual credentials or payload that was submitted in the request. That's right. You'll see this in like the application logs like I was explaining earlier. Importantly, access logs do not record the actual post body data, such as submitted credentials so investigators can only see that the request occurred. GET requests may log full paths and query strings, but some log formats won't include them all. It depends entirely on the server software being used and the logging configuration. Investigation. TryHackMe, a small online banking platform, has suffered a breach. Attackers broke in and leaked sensitive customer data on a darknet forum. Management believes the intrusion began through the company's public website, and it's up to you to uncover exactly how it happened. Begin by opening the access.log file on the desktop. Your mission is to analyze the logs and retrace the attacker's step to reveal how the breach unfolded. Good luck here. We have some questions to answer, so flip over here, and there it is right there. So we just go here, and then we can just open up the terminal here, right? So make this a little bit bigger. View, and then zoom in. ls. So there's our file there. You can do, you can cat it, see what's in there. All right, so it's a lot of stuff inside of here. Luckily, this isn't too big here, but go ahead and pause the video and try to answer those questions yourself. Then come back to the video, and then we will step through it together. Good luck. All right, let's take a look at these questions here. What is the attacker's user agent while performing the directory fuzz? So let's flip over to our VM here. And as you can see here, I did the initial cat on the access.log file. So scrolling down here, you can see all kinds of funky activity going on here. You got Hydra stuff going on here. And you have FFuff, which is another well-known tool out there used for these types of attacks. So FFuff is the one that we are looking for here. FFuff version 2.1.0. Okay, it does a lot of things. It's a great tool. What is the name of the page on which the attacker performs a brute force attack? Well, we saw the other tool in there mentioned, which was Hydra, which is another well-known tool out there that can do these brute force attacks, and it's brute forcing against this login.php page, so that's going to be our answer there. Next one is, what is the complete decoded opens in new tab SQL injection payload that the attacker uses on change username.php form? So if we go back here, that's going to be like the very last one, I believe. Yes, account user change username.php, and then you can see the payload information right there. So all you have to do is copy all this out of there, and you can plug it into CyberChef here, and then you're going to need to use the URL decode. If you don't know, you can use this magic one. That's what I did. I didn't know the specific one, so it'll tell you which recipe to use, and then URL decodes the one you use. So plug it in there, and there's our payload at the bottom here. Okay, so grab that and then plug it in as your answer, percentage, and then you see the rest there, this OR, and then 1 equals 1. Okay, so there we go. Task number 5, network-based detection. Network traffic analysis allows analysts to examine the raw data exchanged between a client and a server by capturing and inspecting packets. Analysts can observe attack behavior on a more detailed level, including the underlying transport protocols and the application data itself. Network captures are more verbose than server logs, revealing the data behind every request and response. This can include full HTTP headers, post bodies, cookies, and uploaded and downloaded files. For example, protocols that rely on encryption like HTTPS and SSH limit what can be seen and packet payloads without access to the decryption keys. For examples, we will focus specifically on HTTP traffic in this task, attacks and network traffic. Let's begin by reviewing the attack sequence from the previous task and comparing how it appears in Wireshark. Many different filters are available to you to highlight the fields you're interested in. Below, we have filtered for the destination IP address 10.10.20.200 in the user agent using the HTTP.user agent filter. Recall the sequence of events. Number 1, directory fuzz to find invalid directories or forms. Number 2, brute force attempt with packet 13 being a successful login. Number 3, SQL injection attempt. So we can see all that here. All right, so there's the initial fuzz there. There's the brute force, and then you can see them using a SQL map in the last area. All right, so let's take a look at this next section here. Now that we have examined the sequence of events, let's examine the packet details to gather further evidence of the attack. First, looking at the brute force attempts. If you recall, the logs showed us repeated post requests to the login.php form. Now we will be able to see the actual username and password that the attacker attempted to log in with. Checking out the last request to the form, packet 13, which we know was successful, we can see the attacker found the valid password, password123, not a very secure password, especially for an admin account. So let's take a look here at this Wireshark PCAP here. PCAP inside of Wireshark, I should say. Right, so there's the web request, there's the user agent, Hydra, username and password attempted right there, response 302, right, redirecting, and there we go. All right, so let's get at this. All right, next let's look at the first SQL injection attempt from the attack in much more detail. Inspecting the HTTP packet allows us to clearly see the payload used by the attacker and the results of the attack. In this case, the payload is here, right here. This OR 1 equals 1 payload allowed the user's table to be dumped, displaying first name and surname and clear text for the attacker. Note that MySQL protocol traffic can be analyzed using Wireshark and show the payload and returned result. All right, so let's take a look at this next one here. Wireshark follow HTTP stream on this PCAP. So web request and payload right there. Okay, and then you can see the payload right there. Q equals the payload, user agent SQL map, and then response 200 OK, and then down here, user table is right there getting dumped back. Right, so what the attacker saw. So there's the ID, first name, admin, Gordon Brown, Jane Lee, Bob Smith. So they're getting all those users and other information out of there. Investigation continue. While your log analysis uncovered some evidence of the attack, you cannot see which user was breached or what data was actually stolen. Thankfully, we have network traffic captures when the attack occurred. Dive into the traffic.pcap file on the user's desktop to continue your investigation. As you look through the network traffic, keep the attack sequence from your previous investigation in mind. Best of luck. Tips: use the HTTP filter in Wireshark to view only HTTP traffic. You can also right-click on any packet, follow HTTP stream to reconstruct the full request and response between the client and server. So we have some more questions to need to answer. So let's flip back over here real quick, and then we'll just minimize that. And here's Wireshark right there. So I wonder if we just right-click this and then open with Wireshark and then load this bad boy up and see what it can do here. All right, so it's taking a little bit of time to fire up here, so let's just click that. But anyway, so once Wireshark loads up in that filter, just type in HTTP and then have at it. See if you can find answers to those questions. Okay, so it finally booted up here. It's kind of slow, so let me get rid of one of these real quick and make this a little bit bigger if I can. Okay, it doesn't want to work properly, so I'll just do it this way. All right, so we're inside of Wireshark, and here's the filter up here, HTTP. That, hit enter, there we go. And then, like I said, you can right-click it here, and then go to follow, and then go to follow HTTP stream or TCP stream, whichever. And you can see the information there. All right, let's take a look at these questions. Hopefully you are able to figure it out. If not, let's go through the process. What password does the attacker successfully identify in the brute force attack? So let's flip over to our packet capture inside of Wireshark here. So as you're scrolling through here, you're looking for all this malicious activity that's going on here, a lot of scanning, brute force activity that's going on here. But you're going to have to scroll down and take a look at some interesting packets. And the one in question is going to be 302. And let me see if I can find that again. So packet number 327 is the one of interest here, and let's get this out of the way. Okay, so we can see it targeting that post login.php right there, and then right after this one you can see it has the 302 found. So right click that and then follow HTTP stream, and right in here you can see admin, then password equals a strong password 123. So there's our answer for that one. And then the next one, we have to find that SQL injection activity. So what is the flag the attacker found in the database using SQL injection? So this is like towards the bottom here, and it's pretty obvious once you start looking at the actual information here. So scroll all the way down here. All right, so let's see. And there we go. So packet number 440 is the one in question. This get account change username.php question mark Q equals, and then you can see the payload information there. So right click that bad boy, follow and HTTP stream. There we go. So inside of here, you can see the payload information at the top there, and then scroll down towards the bottom, and inside of here you can see that the flag is located right here inside of the things getting dumped out of here, out of the database. So there we go. So we're done with that, and let's go to task number 6, web application firewalls. Here's a infographic of this. Suspicious request is getting blocked by that WAF or web application firewall. Legitimate request is getting through. So it's a firewall for your web applications, web servers, what have you. So you have the web application and web server behind that WAF. All right, it's more designed for attacks targeting web applications, web servers. Web application firewalls, or WAFs for short, are often the first line of defense for websites and web applications. So far in this room, we have focused on detecting and analyzing malicious activity. Now we will shift our focus to one of the most effective mitigation tools available. WAFs act as gatekeepers for your web applications, expecting full request packets similar to Wireshark, but with the ability to decrypt TLS traffic and filter it before it reaches the server. Rules. WAFs inspect and decide whether to allow a web request or block it entirely based on predefined rules. Let's examine a few categories of firewall rules. So look at this table here. We have rule type, description, and example use case. Block common attack patterns, block known malicious payloads and indicators, block malicious user agent SQL map, deny known malicious sources, uses IP reputation, threat intel, or geo-blocking to stop risky activity, blocks IPs from recent botnet campaigns, custom-built rules tailored to your specific application's needs, allow only get post requests to login, rate limiting and abuse prevention, limits request frequency to prevent abuse, limit login attempts to 5 per minute per IP. Imagine you notice repeated GET requests to change username with the user agent string SQL map 1.9. SQL map is an automated tool for detecting and exploiting SQL injection vulnerabilities. After reviewing the network traffic, you see that the request includes SQL injection payloads. You might create a rule to block any user agent string matching SQL map. One example there, if user agent contains SQL map, then block. This is a rudimentary example, and modern WAFs will detect and block known suspicious user agents automatically. However, rules like this can be custom made to suit your specific application or threat scenario, allowing you to block malicious activity without impacting normal site traffic. Challenge response mechanisms. WAFs don't always need to block suspicious requests outright. For example, they can challenge requests with CAPTCHA to verify whether they come from a real user rather than a bot. This capability is extremely valuable considering that malicious bot traffic makes up 37% of global web traffic. This approach is beneficial for firewall rules with a higher chance of blocking legitimate web traffic. All right, so here's an example here. So you got the custom WAF rules. All right, to add a new rule, there's that, and then rule 1, 2, and 3. So you can see what they're doing here. They're blocking this IP, blocking this user agent, and then geo-blocking challenge with a CAPTCHA or something of that nature. Integrating known indicators and threat intelligence. Many modern WAF solutions include built-in rule sets designed to mitigate the OWASP top 10 security risk, some of which we have covered previously. WAFs also leverage threat intelligence feeds to automatically block requests from known malicious IP addresses and suspicious user agents. They receive regular updates to combat new and emerging threats, including those from known APT groups and recently discovered CVEs. Check out how Cloudflare maintains curated IP lists from sources like botnets, VPNs, anonymizers, and malware based on global threat intelligence. Don't forget about AI. Let's take a look at these questions here. What do WAFs inspect and filter? Well, we know they are going to be looking at web traffic in relation to web applications, websites, web servers, what have you. So they're going to be looking at these web requests. Next one, create a custom firewall rule to block any user agent that matches bot THM. Okay, if you need help building out one, you can reference this chart here, or even better, this here, right? So this is what they're looking for. Just replace the needed information in there. So you should come up with if user agent contains in double quotes bot THM, then block. So there we go for that one. Task number 7, conclusion. In this room, you learned about detecting web attacks, starting with a refresher on common client-side and server-side attacks. You then covered log-based analysis, followed by network traffic analysis in order to understand common indicators and how to spot them as analysts. Finally, we explored web application firewalls and the rules used to defend against malicious web requests. By applying correlation across these sources, you can move beyond isolated alerts and develop a more well-rounded approach to detecting and responding to web attacks. Click through them, continue our cyber learning journey. So we're done with that. But before we end here, here's some additional resources to check out. So we got Portswigger's Web Security Academy. If you want to help expand your knowledge and skill set in relation to that, okay, it's best to probably have a purple team mindset or purple mindset. So knowing what these attacks are, how they can impact your organization, you know, if you're on the blue team side of things, right? Knowing how attackers attack your organization so you can better defend yourself, okay? Know thy enemy. And then we have the API University, which has full of different courses in regards to API specific information. So if you want to move past just looking at web application security stuff here, you can pivot over into API Sec, which is more focused on API security information there. It's all free too, okay? Free security courses that have various different ones. Next one, I think this one's up and running. I believe you have to sign up for this website though. So the Taggart Institute here has penetration test course in relation to web applications. Okay, so it might be something of interest. And of course, the paid stuff here, which I have 2 of these certifications by TCM Security. They're all hands-on keyboard practical certifications. Okay, I have several from them. So I have this one, which is like the associate level one, and then I also have the other one, which is the PWP one. So like the intermediate level one, and then I have expert one. I don't have. But that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and close out this video. I'll have the links in the description if you want to check those out. We're done. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you're enjoying the content and want to help support the channel, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know every time I upload to the channel. Have a nice day. Happy hacking. Happy defending. I'll see you later, and stay safe in the cyber trenches. Hey everybody, this is WireDogSec. Just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Once you hit the notification bell, be sure to set to all notifications so you know every time I post to the channel, upload a video, all that good stuff. Let's continue to grow our glorious community here. We are in the cyber trenches. We're not just reporting on it. Be sure to check out my channel as well. I have tons of videos that you can see here, over 300 videos ready for you to check out and learn something from. Be sure to review my posts. I'm frequently posting new things to my channel here, including jobs and everything related to that. Also, I have tons of playlists here that you can review, make it more convenient for you. Anyway, happy defending, happy hacking, enjoy the video. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is WireDogSec back with another video for you guys. Today's video, we are on TryHackMe. This is the SOC Level 1 learning path, the Web Security Monitoring Module, Detecting Web Shells Room. Explore web shell detection by analyzing logs, file systems, and network traffic. Task number 1, Introduction. Knowing how to detect web shells is an essential skill for SOC analysts and incident responders. Web shells are a common technique attackers use to gain an initial foothold on target systems. They provide remote access, enabling various actions later in the attack chain. In this room, we will begin by refreshing our understanding of web shells, then dive into detection techniques using a variety of logs and tools, learning objectives, understand what web shells are and how attackers use them, detect web shell activity through log, file system, and network analysis, understand common tooling in web shell detection, room prerequisites. A basic understanding of the topics below will be helpful during this walkthrough. Web application basics, HTTP request methods and responses, intro to log analysis, common log formats, and MITRE, initial access and persistence tactics. All right, I understand the learning objective and I'm ready to embark on a web shell adventure. Be sure to check my channel for any videos related to these topics there. So I'm going to hit this check here, and also if you want to help support the channel, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know every time I upload to the channel. Without further delay, let's go ahead and dive into it. Task 2, Web Shell Overview. What is a web shell? To effectively detect web shells, it is important to understand what they are, how attackers deploy them, and vulnerabilities that they exploit. A web shell is a malicious program uploaded to a target web server, enabling adversaries to execute commands remotely. Web shells often serve as both initial access method via file upload vulnerabilities and persistence mechanism. Once access has been granted or gained on a compromised server, attackers can use a web shell to move through the kill chain, performing reconnaissance, escalating privileges, moving laterally, and exfiltrating data. Below is a simple example of a web shell named a webshell.php that can run commands remotely through the web interface. Note that the web shell is located in the uploads directory of the target server 10.10.10.100, and here is a image of that. See, the web shell has been uploaded here, and to access it they just need to navigate to the web shell area, which is this a webshell.php, and then you can see they're doing Linux commands on here, right? So Linux terminal commands ls and then -la to list the contents of that directory, and you can see all kinds of files in there. So doing that initial reconnaissance, enumeration, what have you, inside of there. Web shell deployment. For an attacker to upload and execute a web shell, a file upload vulnerability, misconfiguration, or prior access to the system is required. These vulnerabilities arise when an application fails to validate file type extension, content, or destination. While web shells are used as an initial access vector, they can also serve as a persistence mechanism if the attacker has already compromised the system and wants to maintain long-term access. Imagine a simple website that allows you to upload your pet photos. The website is intended for storing images. However, if developed insecurely, the attacker may upload a web shell like shell.php or mydog.aspx and gain command execution on the server. Examples in the wild: Hafnium and proxy logon. Hafnium, a Chinese-based APT, uploaded .aspx web shells to Windows Exchange servers and directories such as inetpub, www.root, ASP.NET client. They also have been seen modifying existing .aspx files in the directories such as install path, frontend, HTTP proxy, OWA, auth. Once the web shell is successfully deployed, Hafnium continues on to execute commands performing reconnaissance, dump credentials, further establish persistence through new user accounts, move laterally, exfiltrate data, and cover the tracks to evade detection. Conti ransomware attackers. Conti ransomware threat actors abused a similar vulnerability in Microsoft Exchange, which allowed them to upload ASP.NET client log.aspx file to the same ASP.NET client directory as Hafnium. Within minutes of the initial web shell upload, they uploaded a backup web shell and mapped out the network's computers, domain controllers, and domain administrators. So you can do some pretty nasty things with these web shells. Which MITRE ATT&CK persistent subtechnique are web shells associated with? And then what file extension is commonly used for web shells targeting Microsoft Exchange? Well, that's going to be this .aspx, as we just read there. Okay, and then we need to find the MITRE subtechnique. And the persistent subtechnique is going to be the T1505.003. So to get this one, you have to scroll up here and then click on the persistence mechanism. It'll take you to the MITRE page here, and then you can grab it here, this ID right there. So there you go. All right, so let's continue on to task number 3, anatomy of web shell. Legitimate function abuse. Web shells rely on the abuse of legitimate functions within programs. System execution functions in PHP, such as shell exec, system pass-through, can be abused to gain command execution under the hood. Here's a simple web shell written in PHP. Let's take a look at its functionality. So 1, checks if the CMD parameter is present in the URL, CMD equals who am I. 2, stores the user's applied command in the variable $command or $CMD. 3, executes the command using shell exec. 4, displays the output. 5, HTML for the user interface. 6, command to execute. And 7, output. So there's another image of what that would look like here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 there. All right, so there we go there. And you can see that you can put your commands inside of this box here. All right, so let's see here. Web shells vary in complexity and capabilities. They can range from simple one-liners that execute commands via a URL to fully featured interfaces with graphical user interfaces, or GUIs for short, password protection, and built-in file managers. A web shell in action. A web shell has been deployed on our target machine at HTTP, and then whatever your machine is going to be here, files a web shell.php. It can be accessed directly via browser or by command line utilizing curl. Don't forget to URL encode your commands if accessing the shell via command line. All right, CyberChef can assist. Examples ls and then -la becomes this here when it's URL encoded. So looks like we had to wait until we fire up this machine here, and then we're going to run some commands here. Access the shell and determine which account you have access to by running whoami command, and then plug that in here. List the directory contents and find the flag using the ls and cat commands. So go ahead and pause the video and try to get those questions or answers yourself, then come back to the video, and then we will go through it together. Hey everybody, this is WireDogSec. Just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Once you hit the notification bell, be sure to set to all notifications so you know every time I post to the channel, upload a video, all that good stuff. Let's continue to grow our glorious community here. We are in the cyber trenches. We're not just reporting on it. Be sure to check out my channel as well. I have tons of videos that you can see here, over 300 videos ready for you to check out and learn something from. Be sure to review my posts. I'm frequently posting new things to my channel here, including jobs and everything related to that. Also, I have tons of playlists here that you can review, make it more convenient for you. Anyway, happy defending, happy hacking, enjoy the video. All right, so let's go ahead and flip over to the VM. I already have the web shell fired up here, so we need to do who am I, like that, www data, which is like typical. You'll get that account, and then you'll try to escalate privileges. Okay, it didn't copy correctly, but we'll just type it in. Okay, and so now it says we need to list the contents and then cat the flag. So let's do that here. ls run. There's the flag. Okay, so let's go ahead and cat that flag. There we go. So let's see if it copies this time. Okay, let's do it this way then. Got it. Now, as it says there, you can type in whatever command. So just type in, some terminal commands for Linux, right? Um, so you can actually try to cat like Etsy shadow or something. Yeah, nothing. So you can try cat Etsy and pass WD. There you go. See, it didn't show the other one because we don't have permissions to see that. But you can see that you can run whatever command you want in here to try to enumerate the things inside of this particular machine that you're on, right? So if you can do like, I guess home, see who's in here. You got Alice, Bob, right? So you can just go from there. So we can see what's analysis directory. It's in there, nothing. Okay. And then you can try to do the same with, I guess, Bob. Nothing. All right, so you get the point here. Let's flip back over. Task number 4, log-based detection. Web server logs. Web shells rely on the abuse of web servers, so web server logs are a natural place to start our hunt for evidence. We will explore what to look for in popular web servers like Apache and Nginx. Understanding the difference between normal and suspicious behavior can help uncover malicious activity. While the format of the web server logs varies depending on the service, access logs generally show or follow a similar structure and include the following information. The remote log name field is typically represented by a hyphen, as it is a legacy field that is rarely used today. However, it still appears in access logs for compatibility. Similarly, the authenticated user field is usually shown as a hyphen as well, unless the server required prior authentication, in which case it may contain the actual username. So we can see that here: client IP, remote log name, authenticated user, timestamp, request line. You can see the method here, this get request method there, status code, response size, refer, and user agent. Web indicators, unusual HTTP methods and request patterns. Repeated GET requests in quick succession could mean an attacker is probing for a valid place to upload a shell. Post requests to valid upload locations following repeated GET requests. Repeated GET or post requests to the same file can indicate web shell interaction. It could be sending commands to it or something. Request methods to be aware of. So we have request method, normal usage, and possible abuse. Get, retrieve a resource used for recon and interacting with a web shell. Post, submit data to the server. Upload or interact with a web shell. Put, upload or place a file on the server. Upload a web shell. Delete, remove a resource from the server. Cleanup methods. Options, request methods that are supported. Reconnaissance. Head, similar to get but only returns headers to detect files. Let's walk through a potential web shell attack sequence using the indicators we've discussed so far. Note that each request shares the same client IP and user agent. Response codes and timestamps should also be noted. So 200 OK, 404 not found. So let's take a look at this here. Directory found, right? So uploads, and you have that 200 right there. You see the other one's 404, so that means it was not found. And a lot more 404s, and you get another 200, another 200. It says found form. It says hunting for a valid entry point, right? So we can see that here. Web shell uploaded right here. So upload form.php, and then it says web shell accessed, and you can see all these get requests going to that web shell. All right, so we're done with that. Suspicious user agent and IP addresses. The user agent identifies the client making requests to the web server and provides information about the browser, device, and operating system. Altered User agents, Mozilla 4.0, Windows NT, yada yada yada, shortened to Mozilla 4.0. Outdated user agents, the one you can see here, MSE or IE dot or 6.0 was released in 2001. Blacklisted user agents, curl, wget, for example. Suspicious IP addresses, a network normally only sees internal traffic, so an outside IP address would be suspicious. Query strings, part of the URL that associates values with the parameter, so example.php, question mark, query equals some query. Abnormally long or suspicious query strings, especially containing keywords like command equals or exec equals. Encoded query strings, question mark, query equals who am I, becomes question mark, query equals the encoded command. When base64 encoded, CyberChef is an excellent tool for decoding base64 and many other forms of encoding and obfuscation. Missing refer. The refer shows the URL the user visited before being linked to the current page. Okay, so now we're getting the hang of things here. A missing refer can be potentially indicative of web shell activity. There are valid reasons why refer might be missing. Examples, browsers blocking them for privacy if a URL is directly accessed. Sample suspicious web requests, including some of the above indicators. Number one, known malicious or untrusted IP addresses down here. Abnormal timestamp, perhaps outside of normal business hours, right here. Post request with a search query string to a malicious file right here. This long one right here. It says CMD equals host name there. Very suspicious. No refer. So this page was accessed directly, not always a valid indicator right here. And then number five, a suspicious user agent string that is not typically accessed with a web browser, this curl, as that was mentioned earlier. Audit D, a native Linux utility that tracks and records events, creating an audit trail. Rules can be created for Audit D, which determine what is logged in audit.log. Rules can be highly configured to match specific conditions, such as when certain programs are run or files are modified in a particular directory. An example below. AU search is used to search for logs matching the web shell rule. So we're looking at it right here. AU search -k web shell. Okay, there's the it's like a timestamp here. A log matching the web shell rule. Name equals uploads web shell.php. And then OGID is www-data. So let's continue on. Web and Audit D correlation. Detecting web shells effectively requires correlating multiple log sources. Combining web access and error logs with Audit D provides more insight and can confirm if a file was created, modified, or executed, and by which user or process. A suspicious post request in web logs can be linked to an audit event that includes a create or execve syscall showing a script wrote a file or ran commands. Combining this information helps us build a clear picture of the attack sequence. Leverage SIEM platforms. Some benefits of security information event management SIEM platforms include the following: centralized log collection and correlation, which is especially useful when dealing with many different log types. Targeted queries can be created to uncover signs of malicious activity, including web shells. Allows analysts to search and analyze logs more efficiently. Absolutely true. Okay, so we have some more questions here. What is the part of the URL that associates values to parameters and can be valuable indicator of web shell activity? And let's see what that was up here. So let's see here. I am just going to do let's do this here, a control F on it. Okay, there we go. Query strings, looks like the answer here. Okay. Next one, what Audit D syscall would confirm that a file was written to disk following a suspicious post request to upload.php? And let's see here. So it says create or exec. So let's try this one here and see if this is what they're looking for. All right, cool. Task number 5, beyond logs. File system analysis. An attacker's web shell must be stored somewhere. Analyzing web server files is crucial in identifying uploaded web shells or locating files modified to include a web shell payload. It should be noted that some platforms like WordPress and Django store page content in a database rather than a file system, so malicious code may be injected into post themes or settings and won't appear in normal system searches. Here are some common web server directories where web shells are typically placed. So let's take a look at these here. Apache, var, www, HTML, default on most Linux distributions. Nginx, user share Nginx HTML, default on many Linux setups. Even if a custom root path is configured, attackers can guess or scan for common upload directories like uploads, images, or admin. Like we saw in task 3, temporary directories like TMP can also be abused if the file permissions are not configured securely. Suspicious or random file names can be used by attackers to evade detection. Be on the lookout for names that deviate from standard application files. Monitor files that are with executable extensions like .php and .jsp. Be on the lookout for double extensions to disguise malicious files, image.jpg, .php. You can use like these double extensions to try to bypass filters and such. Helpful commands: you can use the find to search for recently modified scripts. In the example below, it is used to search the var www directory for .php files modified between two specific dates using the -new newer CT option. Another helpful tool, grep, can be used to track down suspicious functions like eval within files. In the example below, we use it to search for the WordPress directory WP content. So find and grep command usage to locate specific files. Running find against var www -type f -name. At least F is stands for like file name or something like that, file type. You have to Google that to figure out what the exact parameter is for that. But anyway, so they did start.php and then new ERCT 2025-07, so looking for a specific date, and then 2025-08-01, and it says web shell created between the two dates above, and the next one here is grep-r eval, and it says web shell containing eval. All right, as discussed earlier. Network traffic analysis. Network traffic analysis allows analysts to go beyond logs by examining the data exchange between a client and a server. By inspecting packet payloads, it becomes possible to observe attacker behavior on a more detailed level. Many of the indicators that analysts need to be on the lookout for in log analysis can be applied to network traffic analysis as well. So unusual HTTP methods and request patterns, suspicious user agents and IP addresses, encoded payloads, malicious code or commands and request bodies, unexpected protocol supports, unexpected resource usage, web server processing spawning, command line tools. Packet captures provide important details that can be critical in confirming an attack. For example, in a PCAP following or showing a post to upload.php request, you might see a PHP web shell.php being uploaded directly with the shell's source code visible in the payload. This level of detail helps further validate exploitation attempts. Some useful Wireshark HTTP filters. First one here is http.request.method equals method. Hunting for repeated or unusual requests can be helpful. Next one, http request.uri or URI contains .php can be useful in finding suspicious or modified files. http.useragent used for to locate unusual or outdated user agents. Complete list of Wireshark HTTP filters, so check out that site there if you're interested. Taking a look at the same attack chain as in task 3 in Wireshark. So let's take a look at this real quick. So looking at a PCAP inside of Wireshark, you can see the filter up here. It says directories found, and then form found right there. Hunting for valid entry point, web shell uploaded right here. This post to upload form.php, and then web shell access. You can see these get requests again. Attack sequence flow through and Wireshark. So let's take a look here. Follow HTTP stream. All right, so form abused, user agent, shell uploaded here, file to upload, and then there's the name of it right there, web shell.php, shell payload, and you can see what's inside there, right? The actual PHP code, and then that's all there. So let me get rid of this. And it says packet showing indicators and the web shell payload in Wireshark. All right, so some more questions here. What command would you use to locate a .php files in var directory? Which Wireshark filter would you use to search specifically for put requests? So go ahead and try to answer these yourself, then come back to the video, and then we will proceed forward. All right, welcome back. Hopefully you were able to figure these out. If not, let's go ahead and find it out. So this first one here, you're just going to go back and copy and paste that find up here. So this is what you need right here. Done. And the second one, you're going to use this first one here for Wireshark. this http.request.method and replace method with the method in question. So you're looking for that put request, okay? So that's what you put in there. Test number 6, investigation. You have been called to investigate potential signs of a compromise on a WordPress site. Surprise, surprise. Suspicious activity has been reported, and your goal is to analyze the available logs to identify indicators of web shell usage. Access the target machine from task 3 via split screen or SSH. Okay, so we could just SSH into it, and let's go ahead and show how to do that real quick. So let's get out of this, open up a terminal. All right, and then we're gonna make this a little bit bigger. Zoom in. Okay. And for some reason, it won't let me copy and paste stuff in here. So I'll have to get that fixed, because it's a pain trying to just go through this clipboard thing here. Okay. And let's get rid of all this extra junk. Okay. And the password is going to be TryHackMe exclamation point. So let's try this here. Okay. All right, so hopefully I didn't accidentally mistype something. All right, so let's see here. There we go. Awesome. So we're logged into it via SSH. You have been provided Apache access logs to help conduct your investigation right here. So let's go ahead and grab this. When reviewing logs, remember to be on the lookout for repeated or suspicious requests, especially ones to .php files. Strange request patterns, look for different response codes, unusual user agents, examples that curl. This is also a great chance to use tools like grep to filter the access log. For example, okay, well, let's just go ahead and grab that. Can help highlight logs that contain 404 error responses. Once you start to build a profile on your attacker, you can further refine your search. So we have various questions here to answer. So let's just go ahead and do this cat real quick. Let's go ahead and clear the screen. Okay. Wow, you can see all kinds of stuff in there. But you can see the power of grep. You can already see some funky stuff inside of here, whatever this is here. And it's making a lot of requests, as you can see, and it's looking like it's doing some reconnaissance activity. So remember, that was one of the indicators there. So just to show you this, let's go ahead and copy that, and then we'll clear the screen again, and then get rid of this, paste, and then put that back in there. Oops. Okay, so there we go. Now we can see everything that's doing here. You can see something else funky here, possibly, that's going on. All right, so there you go. So you have some little tips here and some things to go off of. So good luck, and try to answer those questions, and then come back to the video and we'll step through it together. All right, let's take a look at these questions. Which IP address likely belongs to the attacker? Flip over to our VM. So you can just cat that access log, see what's in here. You can see some funky stuff already right now. Uploads shadyshell.php. You can see there's a bunch of commands being ran. And over here on the left, you can see the IP address. So that's the one I took there and plug it in as our answer. Next one, what is the first directory that the attacker successfully identifies? All right, so we'll have to do a little bit digging to find this one here. But what we can do is take this IP information and try to pivot off of that. So let's go ahead and clear this out, and then let's put that into our grep here. So paste like that. So now we're just looking at everything referencing this IP. Okay, so let's scroll up. It's probably going to be at the top somewhere, maybe. Let's see. So we have a lot of 404s. A lot of 404s, and let's see here. We have a 200, 301, 200. So this might be it right here. Let me just review a little bit more here. Okay. And let's see. Are there any other 200s that we may have missed somewhere? See 200. All right. Okay, there's a 302, and then redirected here. And then we can see this WordPress right there. So this looks like what we're probably looking for here. So let's go ahead and grab that. as our answer here. Okay, so let's see. All right, nice. Next one, what is the name of the .php file the attacker tries uploads to the web uploads the web shell? So now we're looking for PHP files, and I think we already saw that shady shell, that PHP, right? So let's see here, uploads form. There's let's see here, upload form and redirect. There it is right here. So I wonder if that's what we're looking for right there. So they're probably looking for this upload form. So let's grab that as our answer. Okay, what is the first command run by the attacker using the newly I think that was who am I. We saw that earlier. That's usually what they do. Who am I? So we've got that plugged in there. Right there. The follow-up activity, then ID as well. The next one is what they ask in here. After getting access via the web shell, the attacker uses a command to download a second file onto the server. What is the name of this file? Okay, so I wonder if we can see it in here somewhere. Uname, curl, etc pass wd. There's some other stuff inside of here. There we go. wget. So there we go. They're getting that file on there. So lenpeas that sh is this looks like we're looking for here. Okay, so go into some research on lenpeas, by the way. You might find some interesting information there. The attacker has hidden a secret within the web shell. Use cat to investigate the web shell code and find the flag. Okay, so let's see here. They put it in that, well, we know the name of the web shell, and I think it said something about like a default directory or something like that, so maybe that's where it is. Let's see, WordPress, WP, uploads here. So let's see, let's do ls here, and let's do a ls on maybe var, see what's in there. Okay, and there's www, so let's do that. Okay, HTML. Okay, okay. Where's WordPress? So maybe it's located inside of there somewhere. I know it's a little bit differently named when you look at the information on the box itself. There's a test file, so maybe it's in WordPress somewhere. Okay, so let's try that. WordPress there and see what's in there. Okay, so now we're getting a bit closer. WordPress, so ctcon, so it's probably here somewhere, right here. I bet that's where it is. I'm just going to grab this last part here, copy that, and then an up arrow, paste it in here. Oh, I need to change that actually, and I need to get rid of this extra /. So we're going to cat that. That's probably where it is. Ah, come on. Okay. Let's try this again. Cat. There we go. Awesome. And there's the flag right there. Okay, so grab that here. Got it. Nice. Oh, like some other interesting things you can do here, like with the grep, you can get pretty. I love grep. You can do all kinds of things with grep. All right, so just go back to grep real quick. Okay, so like let's just say we're looking for like PHP, so just type in .php. See if there's stuff in here. You can see right away that it identifies that shell, that web shell. Okay, you can see all kinds of things coming from there. The commands we saw earlier. All right, so just some other things you can pivot off inside of here. There's other information. Like I said, you could pivot off those codes as well that I was talking about. The like 200s. If you want to look at that, there you go. 400s as well. Okay. Oh, not 400, 404s, I should say. There we go there. Clear all this out. And then also you can pivot off of what was it, like upload or something, uploads, see if anything was there. You can see the shell form stuff there. Also, like if you know other like IOCs and typical stuff that threat actors will use, like who am I is typical. What they get on the box, they do that initial reconnaissance. So if you want to do that, you can do who am I right there, and you can already see one thing there. So you can search off of this as well. Remember, you could do that search for like dates and whatnot. So if we let's try that here. So if we get anything interesting on the date here, it may be all on the same date. I didn't even see that in there. So let's just do this 17th July. Okay, you can see the rest of the information there. It's probably on the same date, but you get the gist of it. You pivot off different kinds of information inside these logs here to help you get your um, root cause, get down to where this actual malicious activity is occurring and whatnot. I also see the Lin Peace thing shows up right there, right off the bat, so that's good to know there. Okay, I think that's it that we need to play around with this. So just play around with it with grep because you'll probably be using this in the real world as well to try to find malicious activity, suspicious activity on machines, right? So it's a very good tool to have and get comfortable with using it because you'll probably come across it as well. You can see these other um, directories that it's looking for as well. Okay, and I think that is it for this. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to close out this video. Okay, so let's flip back over. And conclusion, in this room, we covered how to detect web shells through log, file system, network, and behavioral analysis using a combination of native OS utilities and specialized security tools. By working through log samples and simulated attack scenarios, we developed a deeper understanding of how web shells behave and how to uncover them using real-world indicators. Complete the room and continue on your cyber learning journey. Oh, one last thing. Sometimes these logs will be huge, okay? So what you can do is, let's say there's a lot of stuff in there, and you just want to just look at what's inside of it. Well, you can do more or less on it. So there you go, more, and then you go by line. Okay, you do the same thing with less. Okay, so let's do less. Same thing here. There you go, and then you can do other things such as like head or tail. See like the bottom activity of it. So these logs will be huge in the real world more than likely. So tail on it. All right, so there you go. One last thing, if you want to find this file quickly, remember we can use the find command. So what you can do is, since we already did the cat or whatever on the log and we found what the name of the shell is, the web shell, you can just pivot off of that information. As you can see here, I did find, and then we already know the location of the logs are going to be in var www somewhere. Okay, and they just put in the shady.shell PHP, and then I'll tell you where it is there. So if you want to step through this again, so let's just say we did a tell on it, cat it, whatever, and we found the name of the web shell there. Okay, so next step is going to pivot off that information with the find command that we learned about earlier in the room, and there we go. And now we can just cat that information like so. So we know where this is, right? So copy that, and then throw cat in there, paste, voila, got it. We are done, so let's close out this video here. All right, so if you are enjoying the content, if you're enjoying the video, found it educational, helpful, all that jazz, you want to help support the channel, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know every time I upload to the channel. Have a nice day. I'll see you later. Happy hacking, happy defending, and stay safe in those cyber trenches. Hey everybody, this is WireDogSec. Just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Once you hit the notification bell, be sure to set to all notifications so you know every time I post to the channel, upload a video, all that good stuff. Let's continue to grow our glorious community here. We are in the cyber trenches. We're not just reporting on it. Be sure to check out my channel as well. I have tons of videos that you can see here, over 300 videos ready for you to check out and learn something from. Be sure to review my posts. I'm frequently posting new things to my channel here, including jobs and everything related to that. Also, I have tons of playlists here that you can review, make it more convenient for you. Anyway, happy defending, happy hacking, enjoy the video. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is WireDogSec, and I'm back with another video for you guys. Today's video, we are on TryHackMe. This is the SOC Level 1 learning path. This is the Web Security Monitoring module. This is Detecting Web DDoS Room. Explore denial of service attacks, detection techniques, and strategies for protection. As you can see here, I've already firing up the machine here, so just go down here and click that green start button. Denial of service, or DOS, or DOS attacks can take many forms, but their ultimate aim is to disrupt or completely block access to a website or web service. In this room, you will explore how DOS and DDoS attacks target the application layer, the techniques behind them, and how you as a defender can detect and mitigate these common threats. Objectives: learn how denial of service attacks function, understand attacker motives behind the disruptive attacks, see how web logs can help you reveal signs of web DOS and DDoS. Get practice analyzing denial of service attacks through log analysis. Discover detection and mitigation techniques defenders can use. Prerequisites: check out security principles for an overview of the CIA triad. Complete web application basics to learn HTTP methods and codes. Work through web security essentials, the web infrastructure basics. Review Splunk basics for an overview of Splunk searches, or you can check out my channel for anything related here to these prerequisites. Okay, I understand the learning objectives and I'm ready to embark on a denial of service adventure. Awesome. And if you want to help support the channel, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know every time I upload to the channel. Without further delay, let's go ahead and dive into it. Task 2. DOS and DDoS attacks. At their core, DOS attacks are meant to overwhelm a website or app so that people can't use it. When this happens, customers can't log in, shop, or access services, and businesses lose money and trust. So this is the A in the CIA triad availability. They're taking that away, or they're affecting that. Have you ever tried to visit your favorite website only to watch it endlessly load or force you through repeated captcha challenges? That site might have been facing a denial of service attack where attackers flood it with excessive traffic, forcing defenders to scramble to maintain availability. DOS attacks can be launched against different layers of a system. However, in this room, we'll focus on layer 7, which is the application layer of the OSI model, where websites and web applications are often targeted. So DOS, here's a infographic of that. So you have the attacker, malicious request, going over to the web server. So doing a DOS attack on that web server, which affects the availability of it. So the server's unavailable because it's getting overwhelmed with the amount of junk coming from the attacker there. And there's you right there. Is the web app broken? Any DOS attack, whether small or large in scale, is considered successful if it prevents web service from functioning as intended. Let's begin by looking at how even a simple targeted attack can cause the website to become unavailable. Imagine a website, a popular e-commerce site that sells bicycle parts, has a search form. This form takes user input, queries the database, and returns matching results. If the application fails to validate or handle the input properly, an attacker could submit unexpected or malformed data that causes the application to hang or crash while processing the request. In this way, a simple search box can be abused to launch a denial of service attack. An attacker could also flood the same search form with many requests, or even a single massive request to cause a DOS outage if the form does not properly filter or validate the search. So we have the distributed denial of service, or DDoS attack, and here's an infographic of that. So attacker, and they're sending all kinds of requests here to the they're sending commands to the attacker's botnet, which is all these devices that's been taken over by the attacker. So part of this botnet there, and then from those botnet assets there, it's going and targeting that web server here, which is a DDoS attack on the web server. So server's unavailable. Is your web app broken? The difference: DOS is usually coming from like one source, right? The attacker himself or some other device going directly to the web server, and then DDoS is multiple devices doing that same attack against that particular target there. The limitation of basic DOS attacks is that it relies on a single machine and a single internet connection. While one computer can generate many requests, its impact is capped by its CPU, memory, bandwidth, and network. To scale up, attackers turn to distribute the denial of service attacks, or DDoS attacks, and utilize botnets, an army of compromised devices under their control. The computers, IoT devices, and even servers are often effectively malware and secretly controlled by the attacker. When instructed, the bots flood the target website or web application with traffic overwhelming it much more effectively than a single machine could. right? As I just explained. Now imagine your bicycle parts website. It is popular and handles steady traffic daily, but it wasn't designed to withstand millions of requests in a short period of time. An attacker instructs their botnet to swarm your site, and the sudden influx of traffic quickly exhausts your resources, bringing the website down. Types of denial of service attacks. Let's examine a variety of denial of service attacks. Attack types. These attacks can be carried out by a single computer, a DOS, or distributed across a botnet, DDoS. So let's take a look at this table here. So you have DOS attack type on the left and description on the right. Slow Loris, sending many partial HTTP requests to tie up server resources, HTTP flood, sending a large number of HTTP requests to overwhelm the server, cache bypass, bypassing CDN edge servers and forcing the origin server to respond, oversized query, forcing the server to process large resource-intensive requests, login/form abuse, overloading authentication logic with login attempts or password resets, faulty input validation abuse, exploiting poorly designed input handling. All right, so let's take a look at these questions. What class of attack relies on disrupting the availability of a web service? Then what do you call the network of compromised machines that attackers use to launch DDoS attacks? So let's see here. The first one's going to be denial of service, and then next one's going to be botnet. Task number 3, attack motives. Now that we have learned how attackers launch DOS and DDoS attacks, let's look at why they did it. At first glance, a short web service outage may seem minor, but for organizations that depend on constant availability, the consequences can be severe, leading to lost income, frauds, or frustrated users, and reputational damage. Possible attack motives. So another table here, we have motive, description, and example scenario. Financial loss. Disrupt services to stop or reduce sales and revenue. Flooding an e-commerce website during peak holiday sales. Extortion. Demand payment to stop a current attack. Threatening a bank with a random DDoS. Hacktivism. Disruption for social or political protests. Attacking government websites during the election season. Distraction. Redirect offenders' attention while other attacks take place. Launching a DDoS while attacking other infrastructure. Competition. Disrupt a rival service to drive up their cost or gain market share. A competitor launches a DDoS during a product launch. Denial of wallet. Force the victim to rack up service usage costs. Attackers repeatedly access AWS S3 data, generating cost per request, and then reputational damage. Cause customers to lose trust in the company. Game servers crashing during launch day. Note, this is not an exhaustive list of attacker motives. Depending on their resources and target, attackers can combine multiple objectives or pursue others. In the wild, on New Year's Eve 2015, the BBC was the victim of a DDoS attack that took its website offline. The site's readers could not access articles for several hours as the request timed out or returned internal error messages. The group that claimed responsibility, New World Hacking, says it carried out the DDoS simply as a test of its capabilities. In 2023, Microsoft experienced a large-scale Layer 7 DDoS attack that caused Azure, OneDrive, and Outlook outages. The activist group Anonymous Sudan claimed responsibility. The attackers used techniques such as HTTP flooding and slow Loris to overwhelm web servers, causing major disruptions for Microsoft customers around the world. All right, so question time. Which attacker motive aims to make customers lose confidence in the company? That's going to be this reputational damage here for that one. And then the next one, which motive most likely drove the 2023 DDoS attack against Microsoft? Okay, so let's see here. And let's see. So this one would be, so against Microsoft, I'm going to say it's going to be probably hacktivism or extortion. So let's go hacktivism here. There we go. Task number 4, log analysis. Web server logs are a valuable source of evidence when investigating denial of service attacks. Every major web service, whether Apache, Nginx, or Microsoft IIS, records web requests in a somewhat standardized log format. By examining these logs, analysts and responders can uncover patterns that help distinguish between normal user traffic and malicious activity. In this task, we will look at some key indicators of potential DOS and DDoS attack and highlight the strengths and limitations of relying on logs for detection. From the previous task, we know that denial of service attacks often rely on sending a flood of HTTP requests to the target, but can also utilize individually specially crafted web requests to halt a service. Take a look at the indicators below. So another table here, so I have indicator, example, and description. High request wait. So you have the IP here. going and sending, it says 1,000 get to login. A resource heavy page like login is flooded with requests to overwhelm authentication processes. Login pages are common targets since each request may trigger password checks and database queries. Next one is odd user agent. So this curl one's referenced here, going to this index endpoint repeatedly. Attackers spoof outdated or unusual user agents to blend in or bypass filters, spotting traffic with tools like curl or Python URL lib, for example, can be a red flag for automated attacks. Geographic anomalies, IP address origins dotted around the world. Legitimate traffic typically comes from a few regions where real users are located. A globally distributed botnet may utilize IP addresses from around the world. Burst timestamps, 50 requests in 1 second, going against a search here. A sudden spike of requests packed into the same second creates an unnatural traffic pattern that points to automation. Server errors, so 500 errors I've listed here. Significant spike of 503 servers unavailable errors. A sudden surge of error messages 500 to 511 indicates resources are maxed out and the service is struggling under attack traffic. Logic abuse, get products and limit equals a huge number there. Attackers craft queries that overload the server, forcing it to load huge amounts of information and slowing it down for everyone. Analysts should look for multiple layered signals forming a picture of DDoS attempt. For example, imagine an attacker controlling a worldwide botnet aimed at a single site. You might see requests from a wide range of IP addresses across different geographic regions. These requests could hammer several resource-intensive endpoints with the same user agent string or a variety to appear more legitimate. Maintaining a watch list of common indicators to be on lookout for can be a valuable tool in an analyst's arsenal. Targeted resources. If an attacker aims to disrupt a web service like we've discussed, they will likely focus on endpoints that consume the most server resources per request or are most critical to maintain site functionality. Pages like login or search forms are prime targets because each request forces the server to query a database, validate input, and return results. This makes the request far more expensive to process than static content like product pages or images. Commonly targeted endpoints and reasoning. Login involves authentication process. Search requires complex database queries. API endpoints critical for dynamic content delivery. Register or sign up requires database rights and validation. Contact or feedback requires database entries and can trigger email notifications. Cart or checkout requires session management, inventory checks, and payment processing. All right, log sample. Let's examine a sample condensed access log to see how a DOS attack might appear in a post-incident scenario. So number one, normal user traffic. Every few seconds, a user requests a page and receives a response as expected. So this top one here. Two, DOS attack beginning at 10:01:10. You can see the IP address 203.0.113.55 begin to send repeated GET requests to login.php, and we can see that here. And it has that weird or abnormal user agent string curl there. 3, web server down. Users are requesting pages and receiving 503 responses indicating the service is unavailable. This log snippet is highly condensed, and a DOS or DDoS may have hundreds or thousands of requests flooding the log simultaneously. So here's 3 down here, right there, just trying to get to that page. All right, so hands on. Your bicycle parts website has undergone a denial of service attack. Open up the access.log file on the user's desktop to begin your investigation. The logs include a mix of normal user-generated traffic and attacker traffic. While you comb through the logs, be on the lookout for repeated requests to the same page, and remember the indicators you learned about in this task. Best of luck. So I have quite a few questions here to answer and get through. So let's flip back over here to our VM. Make sure it's loaded up correctly. It looks like it is. The access.log, and it looks like we're probably going to have to use Splunk eventually in this room. But let's go ahead and open up a terminal here, and we'll just make this a little bit bigger, and we'll zoom in a little bit here, and then do an ls. So there's access log. So remember, you can cat it, right? You can see everything in there. Right off the bat, you can do more on it. Okay, so you can just sift through it one by one, right? You can do less on it as well. Okay, there we go there. And then you can also do head on it, tail. So there's a lot of ways you can go and look at these logs here. And remember, you can use grep as well. So if you just wanted to cat the log, initially see what's in there, you can use grep. So let's say you want to grep on this here, this curl stuff here. So we'll just grab this as an example. So we'll copy that, and then we will cat it again, and we'll pipe it into grep, and then we'll paste that in there into quotes. So whatever you want to search on, put it in quotes there, and then hit enter, and then you'll get all those results back for there. So you can see the IP in question. All right, so good luck. Answer those questions, comment to the video, and then we'll step through it together. Hey everybody, this is WireDogSec. Just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Once you hit the notification bell, be sure to set to all notifications so you know every time I post to the channel, upload a video, all that good stuff. Let's continue to grow our glorious community here. We are in the cyber trenches. We're not just reporting on it. Be sure to check out my channel as well. I have tons of videos that you can see here, over 300 videos ready for you to check out and learn something from. Be sure to review my posts. I'm frequently posting new things to my channel here, including jobs and everything related to that. Also, I have tons of playlists here that you can review, make it more convenient for you. Anyway, happy defending, happy hacking, enjoy the video. All right, well, if you're following along what I just did in the terminal earlier, we pretty much already found the answers to this. What is the attacker's IP address? So let's go back over here. And remember, we can just cat on it, the access log, to see what's in there. And right off the bat, you can see a lot of 503s. You see some 200s in here. You can see this odd looking user agent there. So that's what I did a grep on. And also you can see other things in here as well. So after you see this 203.12.223.195, which is the attacker's IP, you can see these other ones here, which appear to be legitimate users trying to get to the page, and they're getting 503 errors on there. But anyway, so once you find out what you want to pivot off of, so we're going to pivot off of that curl, the user agent in there. Now we can see all these 503s, see some 200s in there as well, and it's targeting this login page. Okay, so there's the rest of the answers there. So the attacker IP is going to be this .195. The page that's getting targeted by the request is going to be login, and then it asks after the attack, what error code do the legitimate users get? So if we go back to just looking at the catted log here at the bottom here, you can see the attack IP ends, and this is where it appears to be the legitimate users, and you can see the 503 error there. So there you go. Okay, so next one is going to be task number 5, leveraging SIEMs. Security Information and Event Management, SIEM. Platforms make log analysis far more efficient by providing the ability to combine multiple log sources and query for useful fields. Instead of scrolling through endless raw entries in a log file, you can filter and sort logs by IP address, user agent, or response code. This ability makes identifying patterns in traffic much easier. In the screenshot below, you can see a time chart created in Splunk based on all requests to a server over a period of 10 minutes. Number 1, normal user requests, a few requests to various pages every minute. So right here, DOS attack, 1,000 requests to login.php within a 1 minute time frame. Here you can see that spike there, it's obvious. Requested pages is number 3 over here. So we can see login, products, seat, support, and you can see other ones there. Okay, looking over the same request but filtering by the user agent and IP address, client IP fields enables you to see more details about where the request originated. So that's what they're doing here. Index main, top. So look at the top here for user and client IP, and you can clearly see here in this pie chart, and you can see down here as well, user agent. And over here, you can see the request count and IP address. So what we just basically saw in those logs manually, we can see it here in the SIEM. Okay. So that's what they're getting at here. There's different ways to look at these logs. Hands-on. This time, your website experienced a suspected DDoS attack. You'll use Splunk to investigate what happened. Open the Splunk instance using the shortcut on desktop, or access it directly using whatever link you get on your side of things. So I'm just going to double-click it here. And while that fires up, let's go ahead and continue on. During this exercise, you'll analyze web access logs collected during the suspected attack period. These logs contain a mix of normal user traffic and potentially malicious requests. To begin, open the search and reporting app in Splunk and run a search in the main index. So index equals main. So let's go ahead and grab that here. And okay, so there it goes. Hopefully, it's probably just a little bit slow. On the left side of the GUI, you will see the fields that have been extracted from the log file. these will prove to be very useful as you investigate. Awesome. So we have quite a few questions here to answer. Let's see if this fired up finally. Okay, no, it did not. So let's go to Firefox, and then we will manually navigate to it. For some reason, it's not working, or it's going very, very slow. So we'll just grab the link here and navigate it that way. Oh, it's already there. Sweet. Okay. So let's get rid of all this stuff here while this is loading up. Let me minimize that. Okay. Yeah, so I guess the shortcut didn't work. I'm not sure, but it's still going very slow. But anyway, go ahead and try to answer the questions yourself, and then come back to the video, and then we will proceed forward. All right, so let's take a look at these questions here. Which client IP made the most requests to the target URI? And then how many IP addresses were part of the botnet that attacked your website? So let's flip over to Splunk here. Index equals main, time range is all time. Hit enter. And on the left side here, we take a look at these fields. So the first one up is going to be this client IP, and the top one here is going to be this 203.0.113.7. So that's our first answer there. Okay, and this is how many IP addresses were part of the botnet that attacked your website. So to find this one, you could take a look at the URI. So the one that was targeted the most is what I looked at here, which is going to be the search one. So click on that, and then now go down to client IP here, and you can see 60 for that one. So that's going to be our answer for that. Which user agent was most commonly used by the attacking traffic? Okay, so we're going to go down to user agent field over here, and you can see it's going to be that Java one that was mentioned here, Java 1.8.0 underscore 181 for our answer there. Next one, use the time chart command to visualize the request. What is the peak number of requests made per second during the attack? So for this one, you could just use the hint here. All right, it'll tell you how to use this one. So that's what it looks like here. If I'm just going to go over here and grab it and use this search here, you should be able to grab it. So we're going to plug it in as our answer here. Like so, okay, or as our search here, I should say. Then over here for null, just click that, and then you have 207 for that answer there. Next one, which legitimate non-attacking client IP received the first 503 request status post attack? This one, you got to go back to, I think it was just index equals main here, and then you have to sift through here until you get down to that first instance of the attack. So it lives on page 9 for me. So there we go. So you can see the attack started here at this time frame, right? So if you scroll back down here, it's all these 203s, dot yada yada yadas. Go to 8 here, and then the first one that's going to be legitimate one that's getting blocked or getting that 503 error is going to be this 10.10.0.27 right there at 1:13:02 p.m. All right, so we are done with that portion. Next one, task number 6, defense. Attackers constantly look for weak points to exploit, but defenders have various tools and methods to keep systems resilient. In this task, we will examine prevention and mitigation strategies available to ensure our websites and web apps are as protected as possible from denial of service attacks, application level defense. Development practices. A secure site starts with secure code. Search fields and forms must validate input so they can't be abused. Think of a search form like a librarian who looks up books on request. If the librarian has clear rules like only search for titles under 50 characters, they can respond quickly. Without rules in place, someone could ask the librarian to search for an overly long or strange title with special characters, slowing them down and delaying everyone else's requests. In the same way, web applications need input validation to stop attackers from submitting specialized queries aimed at overloading the system. Challenges. One way to stop automated traffic is to require a challenge before granting access. This could be a CAPTCHA where the user solves a puzzle like clicking images or checking a box. For humans, it's a small step, but for bots, it can block or slow down an attack. Websites can also use JavaScript challenges, which run quietly in the background to confirm if a visitor is a real user or automated traffic. Legitimate users usually don't notice them, but automated tools and botnets often fail, making these challenges an effective filter against malicious traffic. And we know what CAPTCHAs look like. Network and infrastructure defenses, so content delivery networks, or CDNs for short. Does CDNs help manage server load by caching and serving content from edge servers closest to users. This reduces latency and allows the origin server to handle only a fraction of requests, while the CDN serves the majority. As a result, CDNs take on much of the burden of mitigating DDoS attacks. They also provide load balancing to distribute traffic across servers, ensuring no single server is overloaded, and rerouting requests if one becomes unavailable. Here's an example of a 16 terabyte DDoS attack displayed in Cloudflare CDN dashboard. Number one, total bandwidth over a 30-day period. So down here, this shows the entire traffic volume over the last 30 days. If your site normally sees a few hundred gigabytes per month, suddenly seeing 16 terabytes indicates something is abnormal, definitely. 2, total cached bandwidth by CDN edge servers right here. This represents how much traffic was successfully delivered by the CDN's edge servers. Nearly all the bandwidth being cached indicates that Cloudflare absorbed the attack traffic before it could overwhelm the back end. All right, and there's a lot there. Okay, nice. 3, traffic spike from DDoS attack. The spike in the graph is the signature of a DDoS attack. Without a CDN, the flood of requests would have hit the origin server. All right, so I think we get the gist of it here. Beyond absorbing traffic, CDNs also provide analysts with powerful visibility, including helpful visuals and diagnostics of website traffic. This lets you quickly break down requests by geographic location, volume, and source patterns, helping distinguish malicious traffic from legitimate users here. You can see a lot of traffic coming from Indonesia, the Philippines there. All right, so Web Application Firewall, or WAF. CDNs typically integrate WAFs in an effort to shield their customer servers. They inspect incoming traffic and either allow, challenge, or block requests. WAFs work off of rules that integrate known attack indicators and threat intelligence. Modern WAF solutions are already very good at mitigating DOS and DDoS attacks because they know what to look out for. Custom rules can also be developed to assist in defending against targeted threats. For example, you might implement a rate limiting firewall rule that limits requests to login IPHP to 5 per minute. In the originating IP request, if the originating IP requests the page more than 5 times, it would be blocked from making future requests for a period of time, or provided with a challenge to prove it's human-made request, or a human-made request. Okay. All right, pretty much straightforward there. Large-scale mitigation. Modern defense solutions can block denial of service attacks and also leverage their vast distributed infrastructure to absorb and balance large volumes of traffic. In 2023, Google mitigated a large-scale DDoS that peaked at 398 million requests per second. Cloudflare claims to have mitigated the largest DDoS ever recorded, which peaked at 11.5 terabits per second and lasted only 35 seconds. These examples demonstrate how providers use global networks and traffic filtering to keep even the largest attacks from taking critical services offline, bypassing security measures. While CDNs, caching, and WAFs provide strong protection, attackers often attempt to bypass these defenses. One technique is appending random query parameters. Your CDN might serve a cached URL at products, but if an attacker appends the query with a random string like products, A equals A, B, C, D, your CDN cannot serve the cached page and the origin server is forced to respond. Similarly, changing user agents, spoofing refer pages, or launching requests from diverse geographic regions can help attackers evade WAF filtering rules. Sweet. So once again, just a couple questions here to take a look at. What type of security challenge blocks bots by asking users to solve a puzzle? Well, that's going to be the CAPTCHA. What CDN feature spreads traffic across multiple servers to prevent overload? That's going to be, and this one should be load balancing. And we should be done. Task number 7, conclusion. In this room, you explore different types of denial of service attacks, how they work, and the motives behind them. Supported by some real-world examples, you practice identifying DOS and DDoS activity in web server logs by analyzing common indicators and learn how SIEM platforms help analysts investigate and manage large volumes of traffic. Through a hands-on Splunk exercise, you uncovered evidence of a DDoS attack. Finally, you examine how CDNs and WAFs can help defend websites and applications against these attacks. Complete the room and continue your cyber learning journey. So we are done with this room. Awesome. And if you are enjoying the content, enjoying the room, enjoying the information, you want to help support the channel, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know every time I upload to the channel. Happy hacking, happy defending, Stay safe in the cyber trenches, and I will see you later.